the Syndicate's plans are falling apart. As Mulder continues to be misled by Fowley,
other truths begin to reveal themselves. Will this be the end of the Syndicate? Spoiler it is.
Spoiler. Man, I was just thinking this episode title, One Son. I've got one son, one stepson. It doesn't have quite the ring to it.
Yeah.
As one son. Maybe it seems a little bit more ominous when you put the episodes together. It's not two fathers, one stepson. It's not quite.
That just raised more questions than it answers, really.
It does.
A little ominous foreshadowing, though, right? Like, why isn't the episode entitled Two Sons?
Two Sons.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will get more father questions in season 7.
Well, are they not done with the mythology? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, not completely.
No, they still gotta. I
mean, they're done with this mythology.
Yeah, definitely. They're running out of actors at the end of this.
They get to spread their wings a little bit and do other stuff in season 7. But we are talking about One Son, ladies and gentlemen, season 6, episode 12.
Yep. More Chris Carter and Frank Spotnitz shenanigans as they try and piece it all together. And boy, what a job they've got. There's so much they got to land in this episode.
Yeah. We ended with Mulder about to kill Cassandra Spender.
Well, yeah, it's a good option, So again, the theory that I spouted at the end of Two Fathers, which a week ago faithful listeners would have heard, was that perhaps the question of how did Cassandra get to Mulder's apartment is answered by CSM dropping her off in a cab saying, hey, you wanted a ride? Or maybe, he used Krychek to send Cassandra over.
I
whatever.
really doubt that it was CSM because he's been talking to the Morley man for the entire first episode.
The carton of Morleys.
The carton of Morleys, who presents itself as a beautiful woman. You
know me so well, Cigarette.
I can tell you anything.
Okay, so maybe he delegated it to another schmo. That schmo in this case being Alex Krychek.
I think you're off base on this one. I really do.
You think that she escapes from her freakishly large FBI minder, grabs clothes.
You don't like that woman.
She's a little out of place. And somehow, with the alien technology in her, tracks her way over to Scully, which, as a note from the chat, I actually could go for that. She uses her pigeon-like homing sense to find her way through the city to get to Mulder's apartment. True fans would probably track where Mulder's apartment is canonically located in Washington to where the hospital is canonically located and go, that's 20 miles. So
wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you've got a better answer already?
We've forgotten. Our travel agent, Mulder and Scully, gave her number.
No.
She can do anything. She can get you a pair of clothes.
Listen,
pair of pants and a shirt.
Linda could do it. There is no question in my mind that Linda could make this happen. But for the fact,
how dare you take this away from her?
Cassandra is not employed by the FBI, and thus she isn't eligible for Linda's services.
You don't think that she's got an allegiance to Mulder and Scully at this point?
If anything, Linda's taking work on the side, if what you're saying is true.
That could very well be.
That could be. Well,
maybe she's got an ad in the Yellow Pages and Cassandra found it. I can get you anywhere in any amount of time.
And Cassandra was just reading through the want ads and it's like, oh, I can trade cigarettes for...
She offers clues. She says, hey, I got Mulder and a scientist on an alien ice block shaped box in Canada. Yeah. And they were able to ship it here to the United States in less than a day.
I don't think that I'm going to give this one up soon, but I'm willing to go with this as an answer because, boy, it sticks with me. I mean, it wouldn't have bothered me if they hadn't directly asked it as characters. Mm-hmm. If she had just showed up I would have probably just let it go. But the characters go, where did you get clothes? And how
Where did you get clothes?
Weren't you just in a hospital?
Oh, boy.
Okay, I'm ready.
I think we should dive into this episode, and we're going to start with a clip.
Of course we are. So rather than Mike introducing it, he is just going to lazily allow me to push a button. So are you ready?
Whatever.
For me to push the button? Okay,
you know what? This is cut. You just got yourself cut.
You love this stuff. So you're going to keep it. I know you. You're lazy and you just want to have the yucks.
Mulder can describe it a little bit more succinct and a lot better than I can. So
it's a little poetical.
Hit
okay.
Play, sir.
Oh, wait. I haven't.
Wait, you got to share the screen.
Okay.
You know, there is a commonality through each recording where you screw up on my sound clips. Every time.
Well, if you had given me the time codes earlier.
Whatever. I gave them whatever.
Right. Here we go for realsies.
Two men. Young, idealistic, the fine product of a generation hardened by World War. Two fathers, whose paths would converge in a new battle, an invisible war between a silent enemy and a sleeping giant. On a scale to dwarf all historical conflicts. A 50 years war, its killing fields lying in wait for the inevitable global holocaust. Theirs was the dawn of Armageddon. And while the world was unaware, unwitting spectators to the hurly-burly of the decades-long struggle between heaven and earth, there were those who prepared for the end, who measured the size and power of the enemy and faced the choices, stand and fight, or bow to the will of a fearsome enemy, or to surrender, to yield and collaborate, to save themselves and stay their enemy's hand. Men who believed that victory was the absence of defeat, and survival the ultimate ideology, no matter what the sacrifice.
So what's missing, of course, is a marvelous shot that can't be communicated audio, which is the aliens trotting up to the flag that is surrendered.
If you'll wait a minute.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Normally,
you're just treading all over my art here. All right.
You can cut out my natter.
Oh, I will cut that out, sir.
Okay, here you go.
Okay. As Mulder's voice fills our ears, we see the black and white photo of two men, Bill Mulder and CSM, younger, arguing. Not a drop of shoe polish in sight. Slowly, it catches fire. The picture fades to a massive airplane hangar. The camera pans down, a single bright light shining from the distance down the length of the enormous hangar. The skeletal structure is empty, save for a small group of people gathered nearby. Mulder's voiceover describes the movement of the syndicate, the formation of a group of men whose decision would shape the future of humanity forever. A decision that would save them for the time being, but with a steep cost to civilization. We see a young CSM talking with his pals. Suddenly, the large doors nearby begin to open with a deep metallic thud and squealing wheels. Another bright light obscures their view. CSM moves to the front with a folded American flag in his hands, which he lays down in front of the group as a sign of not just peace, but cooperation. A small group of silhouetted figures begin walking in. We can see their bulbous heads and their long digits, but no detailed features. The camera slinks downward behind the folded symbol towards the beings as they gather. Ooh, credits.
I bow to you, sir, at your word pictures.
My word pictures.
Yes.
You were going to just snatch it away from me.
I thought you were just going to pick it up in the next scene.
I was just going to let it play.
Leaving it for the audio to do your work.
Look, I may like the audio clips, but I'm not a lazy person.
I think the next time I have to host, I'm just going to do one 42-minute long clip.
Yeah, I'm really getting tired of this note shit.
Mike, I didn't have a whole lot of time to do notes for this, so I'm just gonna make
Here's my clip. It just keeps going. I'm like, wow, this is a long clip, Andrew.
Did Andrew fall asleep when he was playing the clip? My goodness. No, but quality opening. I mean, it opens with Mulder giving a monologue, so you know it's a big deal. TM on the deal. And did you catch that the legend has it as October 30th? October 13th?
I did.
Yes.
I did. A little 10-13 action.
Yeah, very good. And it's also worth noting that they originally envisioned a lot of flashback sequences with younger versions of the characters. And they dropped all that in favor of Cigarette Smoking Man doing the monologuing as the plot device to move things forward. I gather they did this because the de-aging that they had in mind with makeup and hair color didn't really work. And just seeing the quote unquote younger Cigarette Smoking Man at the beginning.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
That's why I stumbled on that. I'm like, younger.
Yeah.
Not an ounce of shoe polish in sight on that hair.
Well, the hair for sure. Okay, so he's got a head of hair and 70s clothes, but the jowly face and all
it's just not, it's not possible to do what they were trying to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
I get they were kind of backed into a corner because they actually have the guy who played young CSM in the episode. So it's like, how do we do this?
Yeah. Well, you use another actor. You find a third actor.
And they have. That was not the first CSM. Yeah. Young CSM.
So I don't know why they chickened out here, but
that's okay. It's forgivable. You know, it's very minimal. Whatever. Mm-hmm. Give William B. Davis something to do.
Exactly. You use him while you can, right? Because they thought this was probably going to be his swan song.
Yep.
So, got a real important question here. What is the fate of that flag? You think the aliens pick it up?
Oh, the aliens hang it up. They're like, sweet. It's their volleyball net.
I think they cover a window with it. In the spaceship, there's like a window that brings in too much light, and they just hang it over there.
Well, depending on who they voted for, they probably attached it to the back of their flying saucer.
Right, of course. It's a real trophy piece for them now.
Those assholes are everywhere.
they hang it in the room where the hostages hang out, and like, we're just going to put this here to
just give you a little taste of home. You're comfortable.
That's right.
You know, we're not. Yeah, when we're not ass blasted, you know, here's a little reminder of home.
Here's the flag your government surrendered to us with. Hope it makes you.
They remember. Just point to it like your ass is ours now. We own America.
Yeah, that's definitely what happened.
I want to see that show. Well, we start where Two Fathers left off. Mulder is aiming his gun at Cassandra as she demands to be killed, and as his apartment door is busted down. In March, several agents of the CDC in full hazmat gear, they begin spraying everyone down with decontaminating smoke and stapling up plastic quarantine sheets. When the agents ask why they're doing this, one steps forward. It's Diana Fowley. They're quarantining for a contagion of unknown origin. Cut to industrial showers where the agents are cleaning up. Mark Snow's angelic and solemn melody plays. The agents wash up without words. When they finish, more CDC agents in gear roll in and scan them with their equipment, trying to detect radiation, I assume? Andrew?
Question mark.
Question mark. Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
Little buzz machines. They're there without words as the agents ask their questions. The agents determine by travel time where they must be. Fort Marlene. And after a moment, Diana Fowley comes in begging for their forgiveness. She was and still is acting on a CDC Level 4 quarantine protocol. Cassandra Spender had contracted a vectoring organism that produces a spontaneous cellular breakdown. Scully is beside herself. She doesn't believe the story, and furthermore, she doesn't trust Diana Fowley. But Cassandra remains the only survivor of a combustion event that claimed many lives. As they bicker back and forth, both Mulder and Scully are being examined by two doctors. Agent Spender called Diana. Cassandra is isolated and will be released pending full evaluation. But Scully calls more bullshit. She was in a general hospital for days. They've even met with her. Yet suddenly you bring in the 3rd Battalion. When she questions Folly's motives, Mulder speaks up, trying to get her to reel it in. No one is sick, Scully continues. She demands to see Cassandra, and Mulder gets firmer and asks her to cool it. She rips off her blood pressure cuff and walks out of the room, unsatisfied with anything Folly has to say.
And amen, sister.
Yeah, she is going at it. She's not afraid of Diana. She can see right through this. What do you think of this? Do you think it's Well, okay. I want to question Mulder's actions.
Okay. All right.
Throughout most of this episode. Or at least half of it, whatever.
Sure.
It feels a little bit forced to me.
Oh, you think?
In my opinion. I do.
I have an issue with Mulder's behavior in this, in that he is essentially written to defend Diana Fowley. If you took these plot elements out of this episode and put them into any other situation, I think he would be the first one to go, what the fuck? You know, like,
right.
What is going on? He's taking
and
so
that's
much
my
on
issue.
faith here.
That's exactly my issue. Like,
yeah. I just don't like the fact that they decide to go, you know, it's an alien organism, or sorry, not alien. We're explaining the fiery deaths by means of a crazy organism that Cassandra has. And we're calling in the CDC to, you know, crash through the doors and do a spontaneous class 4 decontamination or whatever. It's just so out of left field as a way to go. Like, I fully expected the SWAT team to come in and put them all in cuffs, and I would have been okay with that. You know, like you can go there and understand that, but it's just so unbelievable to sort of go, and maybe that's the point they're trying to make, and quite rightfully use Scully as the way to say this is bullshit.
This is ridiculous.
Such bullshit. But I'm just surprised that Mulder is even entertaining it, simply because Diana is at the face of it.
And that's my thing is when Skinner was under the microscope at the beginning of season 5, Scully was again positive that he had something to do with it. Yeah. Mulder pushed back a little bit, but he was much more receptive to what she had to say. Yeah. But because he used to date Diana, he just believes her no matter what. It feels a little un-Mulder to me. But I will say, by the end of the episode, they do produce a situation that we have seen a couple times before, where Scully rails against him, she digs her heels in, and he then reconsiders. So I can appreciate it, but it just felt a little rough here in the beginning. Like, I just don't fully buy it.
Again, he's doing this because he's written this way. Like, he needs to be this character for the episode to work. Mm-hmm. The only way you fix it is to make the circumstances which led to this moment a little more believable. The SWAT team is an easy fix. You know, it's not this, because it goes away so quickly too, right? Like, it's a disaster until it's not a disaster. Like, I don't know why it needs to be this way, other than it puts us back into a medical environment, and we can introduce Marita Covarrubias, which is another plot thing, which is going to make no sense. But so it puts us in Fort Meade, which is our backdrop for the rest of the episode. And I guess that's useful, but they could have gone there anyway. Didn't have to go with a CDC ambush. It's just such a weird decision. I guess they wanted to do something different than your standard SWAT entry, and I'm surprised.
I mean, we've
Mulder's
seen the SWAT thing a few
gun
times.
At the CDC guys as they enter, but.
Right? Get out!
Where's your warrant?
Tips his couch over and uses it as a shield.
No one thinks to call him. I mean, Diana doesn't just call him ahead, saying, "By the way, maybe put a mask on when you're dealing with Cassandra, because apparently she's got a bug which makes people explode into flames." You've heard of that, right? It's a thing that people can get.
Inflammabug.
You must have 2 X-Files on it. Spontaneous combustion.
Combustibug.
The
combustion?
The burnination bug.
Burnination. A bit later, in the locker room, the agents continue the conversation. Scully's protesting is falling on deaf ears. Mulder has spoken with Skinner, who was at the hospital and heard Spender make the call to the CDC. Scully just doesn't think any of this makes sense. The remarkable thing about all of this is that Cassandra was well. She was walking. Mulder asks, then why did she come to my apartment demanding to be killed? Because of the experiments. Because, Scully, the experiments. She just wants it to stop. But Mulder thinks it doesn't have to continue. She knows what she is. That's why. She's the one. And from here, we go to the Syndicate. And this is the next clip.
You want me to play that clip, Mike?
I would like you to play the clip.
Okay, here we go.
I recovered all the medical records from the hospital. The doctors who examined her before she escaped are telling us Cassandra Spender may be the culmination of 25 years of this group's finest efforts.
That's why the rebels struck. They were trying to kill her.
They killed everyone but her. They struck to keep her alive, keep us from killing her.
What do the rebels want?
To destroy us. They know that when the aliens learn of Cassandra, colonization will begin.
We must destroy Cassandra.
No. Let colonization begin. We must turn over Cassandra. Save ourselves.
Bill Mulder was against this. He said this would be our tragic mistake.
Bill Mulder sacrificed his only daughter because he knew this day would arrive. What choice have we? If you want to see your family survive, if we want to see those we sacrificed return to us.
What choice have we? Really, we don't have any choice. We have no agency.
No agency. What do you think of Krychek kind of running the meeting and CSM wanting to hand Cassandra over?
Well, as you know, I have my doubts as to Krychek and his involvement in the organization, but I'm willing to step past that because clearly I have missed or have not retained his decision to forgive and forget all of the things that have been done to him. But my real question is, what do the alien rebels want? What is their plan here? Because I don't know if it makes sense structurally.
The explanation, at least somewhere in the show, season 5, I think it was that they want to dismantle the aliens' plan to colonize yet another planet.
Right.
Obviously, they've been going at it. So they know what they're capable of, and they're trying to stop it. Right. Therefore, they're trying to stop the Syndicate from working with them. And whatever the plan is, they're trying to dismantle that. So,
okay,
we don't know exactly why they want to stop them, but they do.
So it's probably not a secret to them that the colonizing aliens will proceed with colonization once they know that a successful alien-human hybrid has been created. They figured it out. They've cracked the code.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they championing the bit to keep Cassandra alive and present her to the world, essentially? Because wouldn't that then trigger colonization? Wouldn't that sort of fulfill the aims of the colonizing aliens, their enemies?
Well, they don't present her to the world,
But
or I mean, they're not. They don't kill her.
They don't.
They do at the end. They do at the end. They kill her.
Well, they've had a couple of chances.
Well, they wanted it to be cool.
They wanted it to be cool. And to be fair, I don't think that there's any evidence that Cassandra is actually killed at the end. So
true. That's true. Maybe they took her for a ride.
They probably took her for a ride, or Cassandra just found her way back to Mulder's apartment again. But
maybe they are the healers Cassandra thought the aliens were. The other aliens.
If I'm thinking a little bit further here, why are they leaving the development of the alien-human hybrid in the hands of the humans? Because aren't the aliens like smart enough to develop interstellar travel? And
well, it's not that. Oh my God, are we going to get into that now?
I will sidestep it so we don't have a 2-hour-long episode here. But that's what you think about when you're like tugging at the threads of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand what the rebels are rebelling against. If they're rebelling against the desires of the colonizers, then they'd be against colonization, but their actions don't seem to suggest it. I mean, I get that they think that the syndicate is...
They're paving the way for them, to make it easier.
But really, even the syndicate has got their sly plan to make a
But they don't know
vaccine. I guess they don't, but they could have.
They put too much faith in humanity to play nice.
They certainly did. Okay, I will.
They're like, you know what?
Down.
We appreciate your forthcomingness to help us colonize. So we actually have another planet over here we're going to go colonize first. You guys get it ready, and we really appreciate that. By the way, we need one of each of your family members as guarantee that you will do this.
Fair enough.
Don't fuck up.
Would you consider colonizing Uranus?
I already colonized my Uranus.
I said that word, and you laughed, and it's the honest name of a planet. Okay, I
didn't know that.
Willing to stifle my inner voices for the sake of allowing the podcast to continue. Please go on.
Mike, you would not believe your anus is a planet. Huh. Okay. Well, back at Fort Marlene Decon, Mulder has found himself some loner clothes that are adorably small.
Adorable.
He walks out into the concrete basement calling for assistance. A nurse ignores him, and he hobbles about. Down the hallways, what appears to be a patient skitters by after they lock eyes with Mulder. Is that? ? Mulder gives chase. He darts down the long hall in pursuit, but he can't find anyone. He comes to a set of blue doors, looks back. His instinct tells him to peer inside. He sees a woman in the back, poking out cautiously. It's Marita Covarrubias. She is extremely disheveled, pale, sickly. He asks her what happened, and she cites CSM and his group. Terrible, terrible tests. Her eyes are bloodshot, likely from lack of sleep and torture. Cassandra is part of a hybrid program. What's happening to Marita was specifically being tested with the black oil and the vaccine against it, developed in secret from the alien colonists. They were buying time to make a vaccine, but then Cassandra happened. If she is the first, colonization will begin. We cut to an operating room. It's dark with a single light over Cassandra's table. She's weeping as Jeffrey Spender comes to her. He's keeping her there to keep her safe from his father. The two exchange words, but Cassandra insists he doesn't understand about her, about the project, and what will happen if they find her out. Let me go, she says. When she asks to be let go, he says they'll hurt her more, and she begs for that to happen, or everyone dies. He backs off slowly and releases her desperate hands as she calls to him between cries of fear. He and Folly leave.
Can we walk back to Marita Covarrubias?
Absolutely.
I don't know what the heck these tests they're doing on her are, but apparently they just let the patients run around in Fort Meade.
Well, assuming she escaped from a a room. I was going to say cell, but maybe that is appropriate. I don't know.
Yeah. No security in Fort Meade? No, it's not Meade, is it? It's some other fort. What's the fort here?
Fort Marlene.
Marlene, that's right. So easy fix would have been that Mulder's walking around and sees her in one of the cells and then can go in and talk to her. I just don't love she happens to be walking around and they happen to lock eyes and he decides he's going to chase her down. Even though at that distance, like, I like how you read into it that he knew who she was, but I mean, she's 100 feet away.
I noticed.
Well, you knew she was in this episode, but anyway.
Yeah. I get it.
And then why can't Mulder be seen with Marita? Like, what could they do to her that's worse?
Well, maybe she's just hiding in case anyone were to find her. It's not that she can't be seen with Mulder. She is escaped, technically. I don't think she's out where she should be right now. I think someone is obviously not watching her. She's just hiding from that. still.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they don't give us enough plot to sort of suggest that she's made a valiant escape and she's gotten out. That would have been a nice scene, and that would have
I am going... Just this conversation has lit a fire in me to create a little box of Andrew complaints I don't care about.
Oh, wow. All right, then. I mean, I would prefer that she's being tested on in Russia, in Tunguska, because apparently they do the real quality testing there.
I think, it is one of those things where it's, that she has to be there and she has to be wandering around for Mulder to see her.
They don't have enough time to develop the intrigue of their connecting. They literally only have like 2 minutes to have this scene, and it means that they have to meet immediately, which is he sees her, he chases her down, finds her in a room, they talk. But boy, I wish that they simplified. He's literally walking past a cell and he sees her in there. That's all we need.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
My takeaway is the vaccine is not working, because otherwise that would have been a plot point. Sure, we can let colonization happen because the vaccine, we're getting good progress on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you say we get some lone gunman action, Andrew?
About time. It is about time I heard one line from each of them.
Yes. We go to the lone gunman office. The buzzer rings. Frohickey unlocks the door with a bazillion locks to find Mulder. He got a call from Scully saying it was urgent, and she's there with the gunman.
The latest in home security.
Hey, you get through this, you got to come through me.
I got a call from Scully, said it was urgent.
I'll ask you to hear me out before you launch any objection. Mulder, I asked them to pull up everything they could on Diana Fowley.
I don't have time for this.
Mulder, she's playing you for a fool.
I know her, Scully, you don't.
You knew her. You don't anymore. I think we can prove that to you.
She took a position in the FBI's Foreign Counterterrorism Unit in 1991. 7 years in Europe.
Yet there isn't a single piece of information available on her activities in the FBI files.
Hope you've got something more than that to indict her with.
Travel records, pulled from airline manifests that had been purged from her FBI records. Extensive movement throughout Western Europe. Almost weekly trips to and from Tunisia.
For the purpose of what?
Well, that's what we couldn't figure. Until we took a flyer and we found this.
Mutual UFO network logs.
MUFON.
Special Agent Diana Fowley of the FBI was visiting every European chapter, collecting data on female abductees.
So she's collecting data. Big deal.
Or hiding it.
Scully, you're reaching.
Mulder, when I was abducted, a chip was put in my neck. When I happened upon a MUFON group filled with women who'd had the same experience.
So you're suggesting that Diana is monitoring these abductees, monitoring these tests?
You tell me that Cassandra Spender is the critical test subject, the one who could prove everything, and yet who is watching over her? Mulder, I can prove what you're saying or I can disprove it, but not when Diana Fowley is keeping us from even seeing her. Mulder, ask yourself why there is no information whatsoever on Special Agent Diana Fowley. Why she would suddenly happen into your life when you are closer than ever to the truth. I mean, you asked me to trust no one, and yet you trust her on simple faith.
Because you've given me no reason here to do otherwise.
Well, then I can't help you anymore.
Scully, you're making this personal.
Because it is personal, Mulder. Because without the FBI, personal interest is all that I have. And if you take that away, then there is no reason for me to continue.
Oh, Jillian, how you can deliver a line.
Sure can.
She's good, man.
Can I just say, Mulder saying you've given me no reason here to do otherwise? I mean, again, he's being written that way because it seems to me she gave him a lot of reasons. And
right.
she asked him to hold your judgment until the end of the presentation, which he totally did not do.
Yeah, he's still sticking his nose in the middle of the presentation.
Yeah.
Those were some cool slides. Auto-scrolling text.
Yes, you clearly put a lot of work into this presentation, but you have not
This is going to look really cool. I think he's really going to go for this.
Yeah. I'm really surprised, you know. That is to say, disbelieving that they decided to write the script this way, because it's just sure, you've got to cast them on either sides of the divide of a problem, but I mean, there's a lot of damning evidence right there. And
and this goes into what we were saying earlier, where he finally will take this moment to reconsider, given how hard she's digging in, and I do appreciate that, because that is a precedent set way back in season 1. So
yeah.
Well, thankfully, he does come to reconsider his stance.
Well, he's going to go talk to her and be like, "Hey, my bitch partner's got some concerns. Can you,
But
say a few things?"
He's at least doing some investigation. What would he be doing if this conversation hadn't happened? He wouldn't be here in the next scene, which is Diana Fowley's apartment. So I do appreciate that he's taking the opportunity to do some investigation and maybe give validation to his way of thinking or Scully's. So
I think they do also walk past Scully's ultimatum, basically, that she drops at the end of this, where she's basically saying, "I can no longer help you," and I'm. Do you take that to mean that she's done? Like she's...
Oh yeah, because she's about to get fired.
Basically, yeah.
If she doesn't have the FBI, and the FBI's where her and Mulder want to be to continue their work, and then he makes this a personal issue, then, she's only got the personal response to it. So
yeah,
she's got no other reason to pursue it if he wants to be like this. So
cool.
Well, from here, we go to the Watergate Apartments, aptly named.
All the fan service.
Mulder steps off the elevator and heads to Diana Fowley's apartment. He knocks and calls for her, but receives no answer. He takes out his lockpick kit and gains entry.
I need to just sort of point on the lockpicking stuff for about 10 seconds, if you will indulge me. Okay. So picking the lock is a two-handed affair. To deal with any lock, you got to use a little tension bar and your pick.
Yeah.
And when you show him entering, you see him with one hand on the door handle and one, like his lockpick in the deadbolt or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be no need to do that, because you would have unlocked the deadbolt and then you just unlock the door like any normal door.
Right.
So it's a horrible episode. And
Overacted.
Guy, David, here's how you're going to do it. You're going to do it like this, and people are going to think you're this amazing lockpick.
Hold it. Now turn the handle.
That's right.
You don't want to lose it.
Your picks would fly all over the place. There's springs, everything. Okay, I'm done. Please continue.
No, that's all right. It's a dimly lit apartment. He pulls out a small flashlight and begins nosing around. As he digs through drawers, he hears the door again and hides. We see the silhouetted shape of a man, CSM, entering the apartment. Mulder's gun is now drawn. The showdown, Andrew, is about to begin. As CSM steps into Diana's room, Mulder makes himself known. Nobody home. CSM lights up. The door was open. He just wandered in. The two exchange barbs, and Mulder forces him into a chair using his initials CGB. I know your name, and I got nothing to lose. CSM rightly points out this isn't the first time Mulder's held him at gunpoint. He couldn't do it then. What makes him think he could do it now? Mulder cocks. CGB adjusts and says he came looking for his son, who has chosen the wrong side. Mulder curses him as a sorry human being for using innocent people as lab rats. He screams in his face as CSM just smiles at him. He tells him how wrong Mulder is and has always been. Mulder's father was the one lone dissenter to the organization's plan in 1973.
But he came to his senses and gave up your sister, Samantha.
He didn't give up my sister. He was forced to. You made him do it.
Oh, you're wrong, Agent Mulder. I can't tell you how wrong you are. How wrong you've always been. We had agreed to cooperate with the alien colonists by a majority vote taken by the group that your father and I worked for. A group that came together at the State Department on a project dating back to 1947 to Roswell. The vote changed that, though. It changed everything. We no longer cleave to any government agency. We would now operate privately on our own project. That was your father's objection, that we would ally ourselves with the alien colonists.
Toward your own selfish end.
We forestalled an alien invasion.
No. You only managed to postpone it.
We saved billions of lives.
You put those lives on hold so that you alone could survive.
No, Agent Mulder, so you could. It's exactly what your father failed to realize. He railed at us and our plans, even as the process had begun. While the group had agreed to the most painful sacrifices. Sacrifices that no one else would ever be asked to make.
You gave them your children. You gave them your wife. You sent them away like they were things.
We sent them away, Agent Mulder, because it was the right thing to do.
You sent them away to be tested on.
We sent them so they would come back to us. Don't you see? You can't think these choices were made lightly. They were the most painful decisions of our lives. Watching our families' faces.
You're a liar. My sister wasn't taken from any hangar. She was abducted from our home right in front of me.
Because your father was late to understand the necessity. That he too must give up one of his children to the alien colonists. The aliens insisted on it. It was the only way they would give us the one thing that we needed. The one thing without which we could not proceed. You see, the alien fetus would give us the alien genome. The DNA with which we could make a human hybrid. A new race, Agent Mulder. An alien human hybrid who could survive the Holocaust. So you could survive and live to see your sister.
There's so much in there.
Yeah, there's a lot. During CSM's monologue, we are treated to flashbacks of Bill and CSM arguing in the hangar, a group of sacrificed loved ones marching in to meet the syndicate, aliens coming into the hangar, and the alien fetus we've previously seen being stored in ice. Mulder backs away slowly, eyes processing the story. Could it be real? He sits down. Now you've succeeded. Yes. Mulder fills in the blanks, works secretly on the vaccine to save everyone. It was his father's idea and why he joined. There will be a sequence of events. Mulder rubs his head in disbelief. A state of emergency will be declared. A massive outbreak will begin of the alien virus delivered by bees. The takeover will then begin. All he needs to do now is hand over Cassandra. Their hands have been forced by the rebels. They have no choice. Mulder stands again. Stop it now. CSM now stands in defiance of Mulder's gun. Live with us. Live to see your sister, or die in vain with the rest of the world. He tells Mulder to save his sister and himself and leaves, handing him a scrap of paper. And Mulder looks constipated.
Well, he's got big choices to make, doesn't he? But
big choices.
All right. I do have a few questions here because they dropped so much stuff on it.
So much.
Of course, at the time, you're like, wow, that's just big scene. But in retrospect, you're like, wait a second. There's some data in here that I need to unpack a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
If the family members are being held as hostages, why are they being tested on? Would you assume that the humans aren't really interesting to these aliens? Like, why? What do they need to know about these?
They're evil aliens. They just want to hurt people.
Okay. All right. Check. Got your answer there. All right. Again, why are the colonizing aliens giving the genome to these humans in their paltry understanding of science, when the aliens are probably better equipped to make an alien-human hybrid?
I already explained this to you.
Okay.
They're helping pave the way while they go colonize another planet over there.
You're doing your bit.
Uranus.
Okay. Uranus. Yes, very good. All right. And the colonizers want these hybrids, and colonization is going to start once one is developed. So again, why is the CSM so quick to just give up and be like, you know what? You got me. I guess colonization is going to start.
Because he's greedy. He wants to save himself.
Yeah, but he could just kill Cassandra and be like, okay, I know you think maybe we made some advances here.
He can't bring himself to do it. They go over this.
But there are plenty of other people in the syndicate to be like, you know what? I just came up with a way we could solve this. Why don't we just kill Cassandra? I know you were because you were married to her and all that, but really, you've got 1 billion people on this planet that would like her to die.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
And lastly, are bees really the most efficient method to distribute the alien
absolutely.
virus?
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay.
All biomes on the planet.
Okay.
Those Arctic bees are pesky.
They certainly are. We've seen how they can break up a kiss like nobody's business.
Fuck that guy. That little bee in his little radio.
Oh yeah.
Mission above all missions. It's that time, everyone. The Magus Media Production sales pitch. Please check out our homepage at magusmediaproductions.net so you can stay up to date on all of our shows. Check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Magus Media Productions, both of which have our Discord link on it, where you can join us for live shows as we record them for future release. At Magus Media Prods on X. Our Patreon, patreon.com/magusmedia, where a $5 donation will help us keep the lights on and bringing you new content, and you get some stickers. Thank you for your consideration and support.
Okay, suffice it to say, I had some issues with how they are deciding to steer us into a landing on this two-parter.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
Yep.
Agent Spender enters the syndicate office to find Krychek there. Everyone else is gone. They left for good. They've abandoned the offices. Krychek tells him they went to West Virginia and they'll be transported by the colonists and receive the hybrid genes. Except for your father. He's gone to get your mother. Unbeknownst to Spender, he's already had doctors looking at her. Spender can't believe it, but Krychek tells him they're probably preparing her as they speak. This alarms Spender and he rushes out. The next scene is exactly as Krychek described. Doctors rush into Cassandra's room along with CSM. She tries to fight them off in a heartbreaking scene. They hold her down and subdue her as she curses CSM for doing this to her. It's a horrifying scene, and it plays out exactly how you might imagine someone being restrained against their will would. CSM dismisses everyone and lights up in the midst of more medical equipment. We know how you all love that.
Classic CSM.
She unwillingly calms right down, which allows them a chance to talk. He came hoping they might speak of the future and not of the past. She tells him she's at a disadvantage because he stole her past from her. He won't defend himself, only to say that they're there now because of his actions. He ordered her tests not to harm her, but to save her and Jeffrey. She says there's only one way to save him. One thing you must do. It's here CSM begins to weep a little bit. I can't do that. She grabs at him and tells him she must die. He rips his arm away in sadness and leaves the room. The most emotional we have ever seen this man. Outside of yelling at Skinner, I would say.
That's not true. When, was it season 5 and he
had a tear. He had a tear. I get it. But that was just a single tear. He is weeping talking to this woman, and he rushes out of the room because he can't bear to look at her.
Yeah.
Asking to be killed. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
He has a heart, believe it or not.
I suppose he does. All right. I have some more questions.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, man. It's this episode. It does it to me. Why is Alex Krycek laying in wait in New York if everyone has left? Why is he sitting around the apartment in New York when they have left for
checking out his new digs?
The lease is still good.
I'm the syndicate now.
I'm Syndicate 2.0, baby.
That's right.
Okay, fair. I like your response. Second, in our Cassandra scene, if she's got the alien blood in her, wouldn't poking her with a needle prompt the whole gas killing thing? Remember at the beginning of Two Sons, when they're doing their laser cutter operation on her, they're in hazmat suits.
Yeah. Well,
She got better.
She got better.
Okay.
She's not quite as combustible right now. Maybe.
Yeah, okay. It's a special needle. It's so tiny.
I hate you.
Okay. And finally, I love CSM's line where he says, well, I ordered the tests, but it was never my intention to harm you.
This scene aside.
The therapy required. It's just secondary. I mean, you're physically fine.
Technically, I didn't hurt her.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is where it goes off the rails for me. It's just
a little bit.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Back at Diana Foley's apartment, she comes in and Mulder surprises her. He's not doing anything. He came here looking for evidence that she lied to him. She protests that notion, but he didn't find anything. Something found him. Destiny, he says. When choices you thought you had have already been made. She sits across from him, listening. CSM came looking for you. Jeffrey's father came looking for Jeffrey. Jeffrey has apparently taken up Mulder's feudal cause. Mulder is pretty defeated in this scene. He thinks the only way forward is to give up. She takes from him the note CSM handed him. El Rico Air Force Base. This is where it begins. If we want to survive it, that's where we need to be. She kisses him passionately and hugs him. Oh.
Well, we needed a little romance in here. It's been nothing but downer this whole spell.
Downer.
But yeah, nothing like a little bit of Mimi Rogers kissing David Duchovny. I mean,
yeah,
get you going.
Baby. Ooh, baby. Back to Fort Marlene, Spender walks with determination down the halls to his mother's operating room. He finds it empty. In the room behind some equipment comes Marita. She approaches asking for help.
They just can't keep her locked up.
She is wily.
She is wily and
slippery. She is just getting into places she should not be.
What kind of program do they run in this place, honestly? They need some Russians from Tunguska to come and run this right.
They need to put her under some chicken wire.
That is how you run a vaccine testing program, I tell you.
Yes. Well, she doesn't want to be left here. She's frightened, and may I say, frightening, as Spender backs away and tries to get away from her. Mm-hmm. He cannot help her. She claims to know him, though. I know where they're taking her. And she asks for his trust. A doctor puts on protective gear and enters the cryo lab we saw from CSM's flashback. He lifts the alien embryo out of containment and transports it to another canister for transport. The doctor tells a nurse to stand back. She's in a high-risk area. He goes back to his business only to be attacked a moment later by the woman. He turns and claws at her face. Standard procedure. Slowly, it rips away to reveal yet another alien rebel with eyes and mouth sewn shut. They've been further infiltrated. The man is strangled and falls to the ground. The new doctor leaves. Ha ha ha. Oh. Mulder and Fowley leave her apartment. He's on the phone with Scully. After a quick back and forth, we find out Scully is headed to the Potomac Yards. They're transporting Cassandra by train car. Mulder takes this opportunity. This is their last chance to stop them. At the train yards, Scully's sedan speeds through the long tubes. She follows a train that's on the move. When she gets ahead of it with supposed sufficient distance, she swerves onto the tracks, parks, and the agents exit, firing at the conductor to stop the train. Inside, the doctors with Cassandra are alerted to their presence. The train isn't able to stop, and the agents flee the tracks to see their car crushed. The doctors inside scatter, and we see the rebel doctor. Ooh, he's up to no good.
So I love their plan. We're going to go to the train and shoot at it, and that will make it stop.
They're just trying to make it stop. And they do put on the brakes, sir.
But it apparently doesn't work.
What would you do? What would Andrew do if they knew Cassandra was on here?
I would get Scully to drive up next to the train, and Mulder, would dangle myself precariously at the window, grabbing onto the side of the train car precariously. And meanwhile, there's a little rail arm ding-dongle thingy coming. And so we've got mere seconds for me to jump out of the car and on the train before it crushes me. But I manage. I jump on and I swing in just in time, and the thing goes whoosh, right by me. But now I'm on board the train, and I'm going to have an epic showdown. That's what I do, Mike. That's the way the scene goes. But oh no, they park their car in front of a train, which they're smart enough to know is not going to stop. And they fire shots at it.
Well, they have to give it a reason to stop.
I'm surprised they didn't just hold out their badges.
Driving up next to the conductor with their arms out the window.
Pull over.
Pull your vehicle to the side of the road.
You're going 10 in an 8 zone. Apparently, this scene,
I want that.
The train doesn't go faster than 8 miles an hour because that's the speed limit for trains where they filmed it.
You want to know my issue with this scene?
Okay.
I can accept what they do. That's fine. Okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
They're shooting at a man.
Yeah.
I'm just going to believe that they're aiming low or something.
Well, you do see that scene where his face is there and then the glass spider webs. And I'm thinking, right. He's just got his face right there.
They are done. They're done giving a shit. They're trying to kill this man.
Well, that'll not stop the train at all, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite the tacked on scene.
I guess we have to just assume he's a bad guy.
Listen, if you are within 50 feet of the cigarette smoking man, you are canonically bad.
Canonically an asshole.
You had it coming. That is how that works.
Oh boy. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We go now to El Rico Air Force Base. The syndicate is there in the massive hangar. They've arrived with family. Apparently, Andrew, they all got the dress code memo. I can barely spot one person. I think I see one, maybe two, without a trench coat.
But why did they bring their... Oh, right. They're here with their family because they're going to get the genes that are going to save them from colonization. Right. Okay.
Yes.
I'm back on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back at the train yard, a car pulls up outside with Skinner in it. The agents have yet to inform him what's happening for fear of panic, and they need to go to El Rico. They get in the car and speed off. Oh!
My first note at El Rico with the families there was, wait a second, did Mulder and Scully actually stop the train car or not? Because the scene ends with the train smashing into their car.
I think it eventually stops and they have to abort that transport because in the next scene, as I'm getting to, they arrive at a medical jeep, military jeep.
I think the train just keeps on trucking. It takes their car with them the entire way, squealing along the tracks. And then they, 50 miles away, offload Cassandra into the medical Humvee.
That could very well happen.
Because I think they're like, fuck your car.
Fuck your car. Fuck the car.
Try again, agents.
Well, the medical jeep rolls into the hangar. It makes a U-turn to expose its rear, and the doctors with Cassandra on a gurney step out. CSM is with them. It's rather calm as the preparations continue. CSM asks where Krychek is, and we quick cut back to the medical facility where he is traveling down the halls. He enters the cryo lab with the hazard suit on to find the doctor dead and frozen. The canister that was holding the fetus is now missing. He rips off his mask in anger and leaves. Foregoing the changing of clothes, a bit later, down the hall, Spender calls out to him. He needs to move a patient. He presents Marita to Krychek. She wants to tell her story, he says, but Krychek calls him a sorry son of a bitch. You don't get it. It's all going to hell. The rebels are going to win. They took it. Krychek simply smirks at Marita and walks away.
They know as characters, they know so much, and me, the audience member, is just sitting there going, I don't understand what you understand, and I feel dumb because of it. So the rebels are going to win, which means the colonist aliens are going to lose?
Yeah. The rebels are going to win, which means they're going to lose.
And
everything they've worked for is going to go to hell.
Right.
Which means, bad things could happen with the colonists now.
I suppose that's why he's not rushing to El Rico Air Force Base, because he's like,
right.
Yeah, nothing good is going to happen there.
Right. He knows better.
So Krychek looks shocked when he sees Marita there. He didn't know she was a test subject?
He probably hasn't seen her in a while. I mean, he's not the director of testing.
It's true. He's really down the chain. He's a driver, is what he is.
He's a driver sometimes.
Sometimes the task can't go fetch that alien genome, but...
yeah. Well, Diana now arrives at the air base.
She's enlisted.
She steps out of her car and exchanges looks with CSM. But before they can speak, a bright light at the hangar door shines through. Everyone's attention is drawn, and the doors slide open. Both Diana and CSM sense something off and begin backing up to the car. We see silhouettes emerge from inside the light, but they're different. They're tall, man-sized beings, and they're rushing in instead of walking. They, each of them, have incendiary batons and encircle the group of syndicate members and their families. The well-fed man tries to defend his friends and family as the rebels surround him. CSM's car speeds off. The doctor from the medical facility turns around and shapeshifts to his normal, stitched-together face. Everyone is frightened. Cassandra, however, lay watching as the camera pulls up and away. The rebels all slowly inch closer with their batons outstretched. We hear screaming as we fade to black.
So they cheaped out by not showing us a scene where a dozen families are torched alive.
I mean, that is a cop-out. The fade to black shit is getting old.
Fox probably looked at that scene and said, yeah, standards will never let us throw that on TV. Those kids are way too cute. Hell of a scene.
Yeah.
Those alien rebels are real shit when it comes to ambushing, because they came in one door.
Yeah. They didn't rappel from the ceilings. That would have been better.
That would have been a lot better. That the drivers of the Humvee get out and like pull off their faces, and they've got no...
Aha!
Yeah. We're everywhere.
Well, we go now to A.D. Kirsch's office. Everyone has convened. The agents, Spender, Skinner. Kirsch flips through the photos of skeletal remains of the hangar victims.
The way these people died, the loss of life here, it is beyond words. I can't imagine how it must be for you, losing your mother.
Yes, sir. But that's not why I asked for this meeting.
Why did you ask for it?
Because I'm responsible for the deaths of those people at the airbase hangar in no small way. I certainly didn't prevent them.
I can assume then you can explain how they died, because I have yet to hear any explanation.
Agent Mulder can explain it. I think Agent Scully to an extent. They might have even prevented what you see in those photos.
Agents Scully and Mulder have been suspended by the FBI.
Also my doing. And my mistake.
I would ask.
I'd ask, sir, before you tell me that it's not my business, that you do everything you can to get them back on the X-Files. Far worse can happen. And it will.
Where are you going?
To pack up my office.
Agent Spender.
You have answers now? Why didn't I hear about those answers before?
I've had answers for years.
Then why didn't we hear about them?
Nobody ever listened.
Who burned those people?
They burned themselves. With a choice made long ago by a conspiracy of men who thought they could sleep with the enemy. Only to awaken another enemy.
What the hell does that mean?
It means the future is here. And all bets are off.
Agent Scully, makes some sense.
Sir, I wouldn't bet against him.
Ooh, goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, Kirsch's disgust and subsequent anger really carry the scene. And Spender has finally seen the light and is holding himself accountable, whether appropriately or not. But I do love this scene.
You can't
Kirsch is
fire
up
a man
against the
who's
wall.
quitting.
Yep. I love when he cuts him off. That's good. I'd ask, sir.
Yeah.
Let me fucking finish.
Here's a question for you, though. If Mulder and Scully were still assigned to the X-Files, would they have stopped what happened there?
I mean, that's debatable.
I don't think so.
Probably not. Probably not.
Which is
but,
something...
But you could say they were much better equipped to deal with the situation.
They would know more about it, perhaps. They would have had more resources, perhaps, at their disposal.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would have stopped it. Certainly, Mulder has made the same claim in previous episodes. And I think it was the last time they were off the X-Files, basically. The concept was, if I wasn't... you had agents that could have dealt with this problem. But,
he was neglectful because he didn't give a shit about the X-Files.
Exactly. So they're digging in that well again. That's fine. I don't think they could have prevented the catastrophe at El Rico. Good on you, Spender, for championing.
It sounds good.
Get back on the X-Files.
I mean, there's no way to say... We can say that they wouldn't have been able to save them. But...
Yeah.
In the moment in the X-Files universe, it sure looks like they might have been able to.
It sure does.
So Kirsch doesn't know any better.
Well, I'd say Kirsch has all sorts of justification for firing these two, just for simply failing to answer a friggin' direct question. Scully makes some sense. I wouldn't bet against him. That's not an answer.
I didn't ask that. Makes some sense.
Am I asking about odds? No, I'm asking you to tell me what he's
damn
actually
it,
talking
Scully.
About. But I did like Mulder's retort of, I've had answers for years and nobody ever believed
No one
me.
was listening.
Bravo.
Good stuff.
Bravo.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well,
bring us
the
home.
final scene. Spender enters his basement office one last time to see his father sitting at the desk, looking at the photo of him and Bill so long ago. Spender coldly tells him to get out. Despite demanding he get out over and over, CSM offers some information about the photo and who the other man is. It's Bill Mulder, Fox Mulder's father. A good man and a friend of mine. He betrayed me in the end. Spender is sickened by the man sitting before him. He knows all he's ever wanted to know about the man's past. CSM wished it could be different. He then reaches to the desk drawer and draws out a revolver to Spender's dismay. He hoped his son might live to honor him, like Mulder's son did. From out in the hall, we hear a gunshot. CSM then steps out to the dimly lit hall and leaves. When the hard cut back to Kirsch's office where Skinner yells, "Did anyone hear that gun go off? Everyone out?" Nope, just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen at all at the FBI.
No, guns go off all the time.
So,
that's it.
That's it.
That's
that
all.
is the episode.
Wow. That was a tour de force. These are some of the longest episodes we've recorded.
Big one.
It was. I would argue no great reason for Jeffrey Spender to be dead.
It's just another thing to do. That's how they get rid of people in the X-Files.
It's so true. So, no, I'm not going to dwell on the thing of betrayal, but I think I've already made my points clear on that really old CGB spender should have seen this coming 2,000 miles away. And I am really surprised that it was a shock that his son would, quote, betray him, unquote. But, makes for good TV, I guess.
It's good stuff. But we were sorry to see Spender go.
Do we? Shot off screen.
No, I don't know. You tell me, Andrew.
I think they want.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for the conclusion.
I think that they're keeping their options open so they could have him later, but
quite possibly.
Yeah.
Quite possibly. What do you say you regale us with your final thoughts?
Here we go. It's wrapped up, Mike. It's all wrapped with a tidy little bow. I can't say I am satisfied with the resolution. I think you are not surprised for me to say that. Two Fathers sets it up so nicely, but one son, to me, is a huge letdown. Heroes don't do much of anything other than accept their fate and then have one last chance to save anything, which has them taking shots at a slow-moving train that bowls on right past them. So they're tourists, late to the party, catching up too slowly to be useful to anyone. I suppose it's a truism that the conspiracy has sown its own destruction by being too secretive. Had they read Mulder in on the plot long ago, they probably could have counted on him as an ally, or at the very least been able to control him much more ably than they actually do. In the end, the day is saved despite the actions of the protagonists, or at least we don't immediately move into the colonization plotline. That will be far, far away, we're led to believe. But the alien rebels burn it all down, the syndicate, the plot nuggets, the conspiracy, and everything, in a moment which amounts to something of a shrug, leaving very little to be satisfied about, even if you somehow manage to keep the plot straight over the last 5 years.
That's harsh, man. Harsh.
That's how I feel, man, in my heart.
The biggest issue, if we want to go that far with that word, is the mythology as a whole is a very big concept. And we are left asking now, well, what now? So that's probably the biggest failing is we don't, and I don't know how they would ever have explained or handled the idea of the aliens invading or not. What does that actually look like? Why are they not doing anything for the next 3 years? That's probably my biggest complaint with it. I actually like this two-parter. I think it's fun. It does have its problems, but at the same time, I think the threads that led up to these two episodes, they work pretty well. You can tie a lot of them together. CSM and others lay out the plot for us a couple times, so that it's not as confusing in the end. I think it makes logical sense. There are obvious questions, like we talked about earlier. You know, are bees really the best way to do this whole thing? Probably not. It is just another convoluted way for the syndicate to get this done. It's the way they operate. Why not just kill them? You know, just that old trope of why not just kill the agents or something.
They go through these to kill anybody who gets in their way, but yet they're cutting so much slack for the agents.
Right. So it's like whatever. It's cool. I like it, and it's believable to an extent, but I don't know that is the number one way to do it. Whatever.
To your point of what's next, you know, once they finish off the mythology, like where do they go from here? But there are a lot of dangling plot threads that they could still pick up on. Samantha is still missing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that they can go into detail on that are sort of leftovers from the mythology arc. But they really wanted to move on. I think that they had written themselves into such a corner that they needed to just put that behind them so they could explore some new territory and allow a new audience to sort of walk in and examine the show without having been sort of belabored with, to understand where the show is now when it comes to this long plot arc. You have to have somebody tell you about it, or you have to go and rent the DVDs so you could understand where it came from. Like, it was quite the hole they dug for themselves, and they wanted to start something new. And I can't blame them for that. I think it was a smart move, especially since they thought the show was going to be ending relatively soon.
Yeah, I think this was a great move. 5.5 years of a plot line.
Mm-hmm.
It ends here. It makes enough sense to me that I'm like, okay, good enough. Now, people complain about the mythology post season 6, which I can't blame them. I think it's pretty rickety stuff and doesn't fully fit in, but they try to make it fit in. You know, the aliens are still present. They're just going about a different method of doing this whole thing. Okay, whatever. Whether or not that's really important, who can say? Biggest failing of the X-Files is thinking too big. And this is evidence of that. I think I enjoy these two episodes. I really do. I think it sews it up nicely enough. But that lingering question of how are we going to resolve an alien invasion on this show?
Yes.
In any satisfactory way. If it doesn't happen, why doesn't it happen? And if it does happen, how are you going to handle it? And we never really get that. So that's okay. It's whatever. It's still a fun ride. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as, you know, another ice age could descend upon the Earth, and then we don't care anything about these characters. They're buried under 20 feet of glacier ice. But and that is the same thing as if, you know, 100 years from now, the aliens finally get around to doing their colonization bit.
Yeah. I just chalk it up to what the X-Files is really about as a show. I know you can't get past. I know this is your thing. You can't stand it when the agents don't do anything. But the idea behind the show to me is always showing the audience that this shit exists. Or in this universe, this stuff that we've heard all of our lives. Oh my God, what if it was real? And that's what the show's about. The agents seeing that happen and those things happen. So the resolution is actually supposed to be quite minimal, I think, for any given situation, unfortunately. And I think this falls in that. Like, we're okay. You know, we've proven that aliens exist. There's this huge syndicate. There's this huge conspiracy. Does it really matter how it ends? Because we've told you a fun story that lasted 5.5 seasons. It's dealer's choice, whatever you prefer to like or dislike about the show. I'm okay with the fact that agents don't really stop much or prosecute anything because it's about the ride to me. So that's just where I sit with that kind of stuff.
Don't get me wrong. I don't expect the agents to stop the alien invasion. I mean, we've talked about how the stakes part of an ongoing serial can be very difficult. You know, if in one episode they rescue a kidnapped child, and it's like, well, they've done that. You can't have them just rescuing kidnapped children every episode. The next one's going to have to be slightly larger stakes. You know, they're going to stop murder. They're going to stop
a larger child.
That's right. So, you know, escalating stakes is an issue that TV programs have to deal with. And stopping the alien invasion is clearly a huge bit of stake management that they could deal with. I don't need them to do that, but they have cases in some episodes where they are floundering around, doing very little. And if their job as characters is to be proxies for us, then it can make us feel very, like, not worthless, but we're just sitting here watching them just sort of see this stuff happen and have no role in it. So, and that's just a writing choice. You know, you can give them more interesting things to do. I think this dovetails nicely with your point, which is they got a lot of story to tell. They got 42 minutes to tell it. It's too big. And even in a two-parter, you know, I just feel like there's just too much here. Like they had to wrap up 5 years of story in 2 episodes. You probably need more than 2 episodes, but
I feel like if they really, I mean, we're talking 20 years difference in writing styles for television, but if they wanted to, they could have put like a 10 episode season out and just focused on the mythology and just wrapped it up as nicely as they could do. You know, it would have been a completely new experience for everyone watching. that would have been something I would really have enjoyed seeing. Whether or not it was good, whatever. But I think that would have been
TV shows
something for
like
them
that in those days. If they did, they were branded as miniseries. And it would literally be, a television event. The Thornbirds over 5 nights.
We've got like 3 or 4 years before 24 premieres.
Yes.
And I think that premieres like the year this goes off the air or something, or maybe the year before. But
yeah, that would be a show I point to where they're like, oh no, it's going to be very much one big story told in segments.
Right.
And it was very much trendsetting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent first season too.
Oh yeah.
That show suffered from the problem you're talking about.
The raising
By
stakes,
season 3, he's like standing next to a nuclear explosion. It's like, what the fuck is happening? I don't know. That show got way too big, way too fast. But
it did, yeah. Kiefer, another good Canadian. Well, certainly we are well beyond the red line for our time limit, but I think it definitely justified the discussion. And yeah, a hell of a 2-parter.
Bran has had some good comments going through here. I just want to give him a shout out. Excellent, excellent stuff.
Yes, you can come back to the chat anytime, Bran. We'll have you anytime.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, as we do here, would you like to give the final word in tonight's episode and maybe the final word on the mythology as it is ending?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for bearing with us as we cavort through the capper for 5 years of mythology. Hopefully, there has been a thing or two that we have said which resonates or gets you thinking about what this story meant. If you were one of the few people that could parse it all together and make it make sense to you, my hat is off to you, because I get lost all the time when thinking about all this stuff.
It's like looking at a dense forest at any given time.
Yes, exactly. So with that, bid you good evening, and we look forward to chatting into your ear holes next week.
That's our new theme song. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.